When it's time to hire for your business, it's common to feel a little bit daunted by the task ahead. The hiring, the screening process, it certainly takes up valuable time. And of course, you want to get it right. So you don't have to deal with poor performance, having to fire somebody, or finding yourself back at the drawing board in 3 months' time. And in 2024, what I'm noticing with the changing business environment, lots of my clients are finding now more than ever that their time is oh so precious, even more precious than what it has been in the past. And the performance of their team is also more important than it has been in the past. So today's episode is sharing with you the 5 essential ingredients to hiring success as a small business owner in 2024. And this is especially created for small business owners, because hiring in a small business is a totally different ball game to when you're hiring in a big business, or maybe when you've hired before in corporate. So if you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, stay tuned, because this is going to be a great episode. It is so lovely to be back here on the microphone. We have had a little bit of a break on the podcast, and I'm happy to be back here talking to you. And I've been working with lots of clients in the last few months about hiring and also performance. And in fact, that's been the theme for 2024, slowing down a little bit in the hiring process to make sure we get it right. And also really dialing down and looking at, where are the average performers? Where are people not performing? Where have potentially I accepted something that I shouldn't be accepting going forward? And it's these two things, like hiring right, taking your time to get the hiring right, and performance. It's these two things together, which is fueling the reason that I'm recording this episode for you today. And so before we dive in, I want to explain a little bit about that. I want to explain why I know in my heart, based on my 17 plus years of HR and recruitment experience, I know in my heart why it is so important for you as a small business owner to confidently know how to hire someone for your team. And I'm obsessed with this concept. And it actually, it came up again for me the other day, because I get asked all the time to just recruit for people. Like, can't you just go and find me somebody? Can't you just, run the process for me? And it's very tempting. And I spent time as a corporate recruiter. That's what I did for 5 years. And I did it really, really well. I sold people, like, as a recruiter. But I am full blown obsessed with, instead of selling you a person, which if that person's life changes, you are back to the drawing board. So instead of doing that, teaching you instead how to know how to walk this process yourself. And I want to talk to you about why knowing how to hire with confidence, and know that you can hire with confidence, and having that quiet confidence in your belly. I want to talk for a moment about why that is so important to you as a small business owner. And the reason is because this quiet knowing in your belly, once you've got this confidence going, look, I actually know how to hire someone. I know how to make great decisions. I know how to replace this person if I need to. When you know and you believe that you can at any stage, if you need to, hire somebody new for your business, you are no longer afraid to hold your expectations high and to have every conversation that you need to support the person to perform and produce the things that you need them to do in your business. You want them to do. And when you are no longer afraid to rock the boat, if the person on the receiving end of the conversation that you want to share, when you're no longer afraid of, them not liking what you have to say, and you feeling, fear or being stuck in if they don't like what I say, what if they leave, then I'm going to be stuck. When you can get out of that way of thinking, then you can truly be open with your team. You can truly ask for what you're after. You can challenge the status quo. You can ask questions, and you can no longer be afraid, knowing that your business is sustainable beyond any one person. And I want to preface this concept with the thought process that you can be empowered with the quiet confidence that you can always hire someone new if you need to, without not valuing somebody. So you can still value someone and love on them and want them to stay and appreciate them and all the things, and be quietly confident that if their circumstances changed and if you needed to hire again, everything would be okay. And that's why it's so important that you have this quiet knowing in your belly, that you learn how to hire so you can have this quiet knowing in your belly. Because when you know and believe it, then you're no longer afraid to have any conversation that you need to. Because if somebody chooses to leave, if it no longer feels good for them, if life changes, if they used to perform but they're not performing anymore, like if any of these things come up, you get to deal with it. You get to hold your standards high. You get to deal with it with loving curiosity, with empathy, with understanding, with all the things, and being a beautiful, incredible human along the way. And you get to know, well, either way, the business is sustainable. The business can continue regardless of the situation of any one person. So there's a difference between loving on your team, wanting to engage them, appreciating them, and being attached to them needing to stay. And I guess that's the difference between a business that runs off systems where people work within the systems and a business that relies on the people to be the system. So I'll say that again. You want to have a business that has systems that people work within, as opposed to a business where the people are the system that holds the business up. Because it's when you're attached to the person being the solution to what you need done in the business that we can become afraid to say the things we need to do, to ask for the performance we truly need or want, the business might need to be able to get to the next level, because we're afraid of rocking the boat if we aren't confident that we can hire someone else if we need to. So it's about feeling like you totally value somebody, you want them to stay, you think they're great without being attached to that. And I hope you can hear the difference. So, it's the difference between being afraid to rock the boat and give feedback because you don't believe that you could find somebody as good or better. So that's what we want to move you away from. Because when you know how to hire, when you know how to go through a hiring process, when you know with confidence that there are always options out there for you, then you can operate from this quiet place of knowing that I'm talking about, knowing that there's always somebody else who will be available, who'd like to do this job, who'd like to work with me, has the skills and the experience. And, also our business is reasonably systemized, or we've got some basic processes, so somebody else could come in and step in and we would be okay. So today's episode is about how to make hiring for your small business feel easier. And that means making it feel doable, feel possible, so that you can operate from this place of quiet confidence going, yeah, hiring's just one of these things that when we need to do it, we're fine. And so that you can go into your next hire or your next conversation from this place of, yeah, I've got this. If I need to hire, I'm okay. Now, of course, nobody wants hiring to be difficult. Of course not. Nobody wants to find themselves struggling to get good applications from qualified people, or feeling like they need to choose, the best hire from a bad bunch of people, or not knowing what to say at an interview to work out if somebody's lying or if they can really do the things or if they've really done it in the right way. Or worse, walking away from an interview thinking, I've got no idea if this person's right, but I'm going to cross my fingers and hope for the best. You want to move through your hiring process, and you want to learn how to move through every hiring process, knowing that you're on track, knowing that the applications that are coming in, you've got the right number of applications of the right quality of people, the right people are applying, and getting to a stage where you feel almost spoiled for choice would be the ideal about, oh gosh, or just feeling like, oh, there's quite a few people who want to work with me, who've got the right skills. Oh, cool. Like, we've got this. And you want to be able to run your interview and know how to run your interview in a way that makes you feel like a boss who can actually, run this process and make these decisions, who knows what to ask, and who in equal parts can be inspiring and also assessing and, clearly working out, is your experience right? Are your skills relevant? Are you going to fit in with the team? Are you going to fit in with me? So that ultimately you can make a really confident decision that, yep, this person, they're the next person for our team. They're our next rock star. So today's episode is about how you can get the latter rather than the former. And there are a number of strategic steps that you need to work through as part of your hiring process in a conscious, considered way to ultimately get the result you deserve. And that is getting an epic new team member for your team. So I'm going to share with you six things that you can think about that will put you on the way to making that happen. Now let's dive into number one. If you want to have a successful hire, and the number one thing you need to learn about confidently being able to hire is that the first part of the process must always be you getting clear on what you need and want the person to do. This means finishing the sentence, I would be delighted if the person could do this. If in 12 months' time they were doing this. If in 12 months' time they'd taken, this off my hands. So really getting clear on what success looks like for this person, this new person that you want to join your business. That's the first one. And then the second thing that you need to get clear on and learn how to be clear on before you dive in any further into the hiring process is what you don't want the person to do. Because you really don't want to work that out when the person's got the job and they're a month into working with you. You don't want to work out, now I realize that I didn't want somebody to do this like that. We want to work that out up front. And so answering the sentence or the question, I would hate it if somebody did this, or I would be disappointed if somebody did this. So answering that can help you get clear on, okay, so this is what success looks like. And equally, this is what I wouldn't want somebody to do, or this is what would make me feel disappointed. And the good thing is that looking at what you don't want or what would make you feel disappointed or what would really annoy you often helps you get clearer on actually what you do want by thinking about what you don't want. So sort of sitting there and spending as long as you need, frankly, working out what does success look like? What do I want the person to do? How do I want them to do it? And what is it that I would never want them to do? Or I'd be disappointed if they did what in what way? So they're the first two. And then the third step to hiring well, particularly in 2024, is learning how to write a unique advertisement that describes what you need in a way that accurately portrays what it's like to work with you in your business. So I said the words unique and accurate there. So we can't have these boring, bog standard job advertisements where, the person who's hiring down the road, their advertisement reads and looks the same as yours, but it's just a slight change, which is the company name. That's not going to get you a pool of excited, highly qualified people. We need it to be unique to the specifics of what you need done, how you want it done, unique to the specifics of what it's like to work with you. And we want it to be written in a way so that the person reads it and feels what it's like to work with you. So are you super fun? Is it a fun vibe in your office or, in your remote team? In which case, put some jokes and some wit in there. Are you uber professional whereby, every external representation of you or interaction with a client is super polished in, proper English? In which case, write the advertisement that way. Write it with feeling so that you can stand out and connect with the right type of people right there at the advertisement stage. It'll help you stand out. And more importantly, it'll help you connect with the right people so that they want to take an action. And that action is letting you know that they're interested. And similarly, we want that feeling to turn off the wrong people. So the people who aren't interested in the super professional, polished language will read that and think, oh, that feels a bit stuffy. Perfect. It's not the job for you. The people who aren't up for an energetic, full of jokes, witty kind of bantering sort of culture will read it and feel the same way. Oh, that doesn't sound like my sort of place. Perfect. It's not for you. So, there's a screening element to having a unique job advertisement, of course, but there's also a way to stand out from the crowd, which, you really need to do because great people aren't necessarily scouring through and reading every single advertisement. We need to work out how to actually make ourselves stand out. So the fourth thing to making hiring feel easier and doable for you as a small business owner is to include a question, a request, or a small activity as part of the application process. So at the bottom of the advertisement, you write a sentence that says, if you're interested in applying, if this job feels like you, if this feels like it's the right job for you, do this. And then you tell them to do something. It might be recording a 60-second video. It might be answer these 4 questions. It might be send a link to your portfolio. It might be check out our Instagram page and write 2 sentences about who you think our target audience is. Because this helps the person who is interested get excited and start to show you why they're the right person. And it helps you it makes hiring easier for you, because you get to see really, really quickly, within literally 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds if they have to do a 60-second video, you get to see, oh, so quickly, is this person a no way Jose, or are they a maybe? And when you are looking for a volume of applications to come in, because remember, we want to feel like we're spoilt for choice. We want to see all the options. We want to feel like there's lots of choice out there for us. Then having a really clever application process that includes, the beginning of your screening is a really effective way to help you to narrow who you want to actually shortlist and potentially interview right down really quickly. So the 5th thing that you need to do to make hiring easier for you is to think of the hiring and recruitment process as an information gathering exercise. It has multiple stages, and you get to gather information that you probably don't know if you haven't hired for a while. Information about how much people are being paid, information about the way roles are structured in various businesses, information about like the names of different jobs and what people call themselves, etc., etc. So think about the information that you don't quite know and ask that as part of the application question as well. So you want to go into your hiring with a fair bit of, I want to say like 80% certainty and specificity of what you're looking for, what you want the person to do, how you want them to do it, and a rough budget of what you think you can pay. But then you want to have about 20% of flexibility to be able to tweak and finalize the role, the pay, etc., based on what you learn from the market through the application process. So you need to know what you're looking for, but also have the ability to stay a little bit flexible. And of course, my final tip for making hiring easier is to know how to conduct a good interview, because you just do not want to try and wing your interview. You don't want to try and make a decision with your fingers crossed. You don't want to find yourself going off on a tangent where you sort of end the Zoom call or the person walks out the door and you think, they're lovely and I know all these things that they like to do on the weekends, but we didn't actually talk about the specifics of whether they've ever created an email campaign from scratch. So there's an art and a little bit of a science to interviewing well, whereby you have a planned structure that makes sure that you get the information you need, creates a little bit of a bond, makes the person feel connected to you, but ultimately supports you to make a absolutely confident decision where the right person feels obvious. And that's what happens with my clients. When they've walked through my hiring mastery method, they get to this stage where they've interviewed 3 or 4 people, they've followed a structure which we've created together, and the person's obvious. Like there's often not even a debate between which people we should choose, because it's like, well, we asked everyone the same questions. We got the information that we needed to know. We were so clear on what we needed to test and what, layer of detail we needed to understand this type of experience, because that was our must-have criteria. And it was obvious. This person's here. I'm going with that person. And so that's how hiring can feel easy. It can feel doable, because when you know how to interview well, you know how to get to the heart of the information that you need, then you're not setting yourself up for surprises down the track in 1, 2, 3, 4 months' time. And don't get me wrong, it's never going to be 100% perfect, but there is definitely an art and a technique to getting the information that you need to be able to make a really great base decision about the person, and at the same time give them the information they need so they can mutually make a good decision about whether it's right for them. So that Those are my 6 tips to making hiring feel easier in 2024 so that you can go about every conversation with everyone on your team and know that you can set high expectations and hold people to the performance standard that you know you want and therefore you deserve without the fear of, oh, I'm stuck if this person leaves because I wouldn't know where to start to find somebody else. So I really hope that's been helpful today. And I hope that that's given you some insight into what you need to learn, what you need to think about to be able to hire well, and maybe some gaps in your current knowledge and what you might need to learn to get to that stage of being able to make really great hiring decisions so that you can always feel quietly confident that hiring is just one of the many things that you know how to do in your business. So these concepts, as I said, form part of the hiring mastery method, which is my signature, recruitment process and my methodology. And if you'd like to learn like the exact steps of each parts of this process, then stay tuned because you'll soon be able to dive in and learn this on demand. We're rejigging and upgrading my hiring mastery signature course so that it will have a self-study option so that you can dive in at any time and learn what you need to so that you can always feel really confident about when you need to hire and ever needing to hire again. If you'd like to be the first to hear about that, we'll be releasing pre-release information. So come on over and jump onto the Hiring Mastery waitlist. You can check out the link in the show notes or below this video. Or if your hands are free, you can go to paulamaidens.com/hiring-mastery now and pop your details in there and we'll let you know all the details when we're ready to release it. Okay, well, that's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please subscribe, leave a review, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. All of that is hugely appreciative. And I will be back here soon.